After so many disappointing or bad horror movies for the first half of this new millennium, in this new year, we finally have a scary movie that does not suck. Okay, so The Invisible Man stars Elisabeth Moss, Oliver Jackson Cohen, Aldous Hodge, Storm Reed, and this is directed by Leigh Whannel. And this is based on the novel of the same name by H.G. Wells, as well as the 1933 film adaptation of the same name, which is a modern reimagining. And this is produced by Blumhouse. So, in The Invisible Man, we follow Cecilia Cass, played by Elisabeth Moss, who is trapped in a violent, controlling relationship with a wealthy and brilliant scientist. And she escapes in the dead of night and disappears into hiding, aided by her sister, Harriet Dyer, and their childhood friend, Aldous Hodge, and his teenage daughter, Storm Reed. But when Cecilia's abusive ex commits suicide and leaves her a generous portion of vast fortune, Cecilia suspects his death is a hoax. As a series of eerie coincidences turn lethal, threatening the lives of those people that she loves, Cecilia's sanity begins to unravel as she desperately tries to prove that she is being hunted by someone that nobody other can see. So, alright guys, let's get into The Invisible Man. Before I give my thoughts into The Invisible Man, be sure to tell me in the comment section down below, what did you think of The Invisible Man? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Or are you somewhere in the middle? So let's get into this. Now, going into this movie, I didn't know what to think because I saw trailers and the trailers intrigued me. But I didn't know what to think of The Invisible Man going in because this is a movie about a man who dies and he's basically invisible, and the main girl is being stalked by someone you cannot see. So that was a little concerning for me on my point, and at the same time it was also really a little skeptical going in because at first they've been trying to develop an Invisible Man movie as early as 2007 with David S. Goyer hired to write the screenplay. But then this project was soon to be announced as part as the Universal's Monsters Share Cinematic Universe. Remember when that was a thing? Yeah. And it was intended to consist of all the classic monsters, and Johnny Depp was going to play the title character with Ed Solomon writing the screenplay. But after both Dracula Untold and The Mummy were released with negative or mixed critical reception and poor box office performances, they just halted all projects in development, and they changed their plans from a serialized universe to movies based on individualized storytelling, and Blumhouse came in and helped out. And also with Blumhouse, it kind of piqued my interest, but in Leigh Whannel directing, Leigh Whannel is a very good director from Upgrade, and also got his start with the original Saw with James Wan. So, I went into this movie fairly hopeful that this would be the first good horror movie of the 2020s decade and of the year. And I must say, this movie I really dig this film. The Invisible Man was absolutely exactly what you want from a horror movie. So let's get into the lights, which is the positives. I gotta say, my first big positive with The Invisible Man is the fact that this is a horror movie that is legit scary. Because this is a horror movie that scares you, it frightens you, it takes you by surprise, and it takes you by storm. It's not overly gory. There are some gory parts, and there are some bloody parts, especially for this movie, but it's more mainly towards has a psychological aspect to it, and that's what I appreciate to it. It's kind of like Sleeping with the Enemy, but in a horror-esque vibe to it, and that all comes down to the writing and direction of Leigh Whannel. Leigh Whannel has shown himself to be a very capable director with Upgrade, which I personally love, and is one of the more underrated films of the last decade that for some reason people just slept on. And I think that his direction and his writing and the way these characters are written in this movie, especially our main character Cecilia, is what this movie needs. I felt like I felt bad for her. And you do, and it makes you question, is Cecilia really seeing this, or is she really starting to lose her sanity? And that's where the biggest praise for this movie comes into. And that is what, again, it goes to Leigh Whannel and to his direction and screenplay. Also, I have to say that the performances in this movie is excellent. Elisabeth Moss. I'm not really that familiar with Elisabeth Moss. I have seen her in a couple. I've seen her in one other movie. I don't know, but Elisabeth Moss really sells you this part like hell because she has to play the abuser's girlfriend, the girl trying to get out of a violent and controlling relationship. And she has to play the parts where she's losing her sanity. And she brings a lot of emotion and gravitas into her performance. And if she does not get an Oscar next year, if the Oscars do happen next year, because everything's going on, if she doesn't get an Oscar for her performance, then something is wrong with the Academy. Because I personally think horror performances should be acknowledged. Also, the rest of the performances are really great. Aldous Hodge and Storm Reed are really great. Harry Dyer and Oliver Jackson Cohen. Big applause to him. He appears for a little bit in the movie where you actually see him, but for the moments when he's not there, it can be very challenging for an actor to do. And the way he has to come off and play this Invisible Man character. It is impossible to do it because half of the movie he is invisible and doing all this stuff that you wouldn't expect the Invisible Man to do. So between his performance and with some work on CG and special effects, it does come into play and it does go into what the movie desperately wants to be. And this movie doesn't shy away from the horrors of an abusive relationship from the abuser. That is another one of my biggest positives when it comes to this. Or the aftermath. Because with Cecilia, again, that's our main character. You see everything that she is going through for this entire 2 hours and 4 minute film. Which, I gotta say, the pacing in this movie is well paced. It never gets dull. It never feels boring. It never got to the point where I was just like, I'm ready to give up. And it just felt like you're there. You're there with this character. Another big positive is the cinematography. This movie is really well shot. The cinematography and the editing and production design in this movie. This is some of the most beautifully shot sequences in this movie, especially the scenes with the Invisible Man not being there. It feels like something that Alfred Hitchcock would do if he was alive today. And I think if he was alive, this is the kind of movie that he would be making. And in this decade, because if almost every piece of this movie, it feels like Alfred Hitchcock, but it also feels like the director is doing his own thing. Also, the sound design is just perfect. The sound mixing is just perfect. The sound mixing is very well done. I love the sound mixing in this movie. It really gets across under your skin, and you're just sitting there like, oh my god. And for a lot of this movie, I actually watched this movie, and then my other sister, she watched the movie, but every time something scary happens, she just jumped, and I started laughing there as I was watching it. But for the movie, I was sitting there having a good time. I was getting scared, as I should be, because I have not been getting scared since November with Dr. Sleep. And also the music by Benjamin Wallfish, awesome composer. He's been doing a lot of music for It Chapters 1 and 2. He helped Hans Zimmer with Blade Runner 2049, and he does an excellent job with the music in this movie, and did an excellent job with the music in Shazam. So this guy definitely knows what he's doing as far as a musical standpoint goes. So I have to say that the music is nice. The music is nice. It didn't really feel like I was being bored. Now, as far as nitpicks goes, I don't really have any nitpick. I guess the only nitpick I do have is that at first, when it gets to the whole twist, you're just left like scratching your head. But then when you watch it and when you think about it, I got over it very quickly. And some of the characters feel a little underutilized, but at the end of the day, that's all I have as far as issues. So, overall, The Invisible Man. Before I get into my final thoughts, be sure in the comment section down below, tell me what you think of The Invisible Man. Be sure to hit that like button. If you like what you see here, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And let's get into it. So, overall, The Invisible Man is one of the best scary movies of the 2020 year so far. Is right up there with The Lodge. It with great atmosphere, great performance from his main actress, great direction and writing, excellent sound mixing, and nice twists and turns as you go along. This is definitely one of my new favorite horror movies, because we haven't had a good horror movie since November. And Fantasy Island disappointed me. But I didn't hate Fantasy Island. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give, as far as my rating system, I'm going to give The Invisible Man better than Vampire Academy. It's almost a seal of approval. Almost. Just almost. So let me know what you guys think of The Invisible Man in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you in between? Do you think it's overrated? Do you think it's underrated? Are you going to see it? Have you seen it yet? Have you seen it at home during the quarantine situation? Be sure to follow me on my social media links to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Starhouse, Letterboxd. All my social media links stuff down below. I hope you enjoyed this. Be on the lookout for more videos coming soon, as well as more live streaming coming soon. And if you want to donate money to Chime, you can do that as well. And if you want to send fan mail, you can do that too. As always, you guys keep it cool, enjoying the Epictasticness.